Hi, welcome back to the Blissful Heart channel. I am Desiree Lee and I am here to give you your weekly bliss fix. Today we are doing a 3-card pick a card asking why you are fated with your current partner or person. Hi, welcome back to my channel, to all of my subscribers, and for anybody that's new, I do energy reads for the full and the new moon. I do soul guidance readings, I do pick-a-cards, and I'm getting ready to roll out some more like educational videos on karma and energy and how to use your intuition. So make sure to click subscribe, especially if you like my vibe. So I release videos out every Friday/Saturday. And today we are taking a look at why fate brought you two together, right? So this could be your twin flame, this could be a soulmate, this could be a friend, this could be your mother or your father. Really, this is so much about tapping into the karmic lesson with the current person that is occupying most of your time, okay? So I like to look at it as like whoever you're learning the most from right now, and I feel like you're going to default, for those of you that are consider yourself a twin flame or what you think of as being in a soulmate relationship, that might be your default. But especially if you're a twin flame and you're in like non-communication, this might be somebody that you are intimate with that you don't consider to be your twin flame. This could also be, somebody that you work with that you spend a lot of time with. It could be, one of your best friends. A lot of people tend to default that soulmates are sexual or, and it's not always that way. Many times our soulmates are just people that have a huge impact on us, and that doesn't necessarily mean time spent together. But for this pick a card, I put that preface out there that this is the current lesson that you are learning based on what we just completed with this full moon and this last Sunday. So this is going to be about like what you're trying to heal with this person, okay? And yes, obviously the twin flame dynamic is always kind of more of a bigger umbrella that I am bringing into this, but I just wanted to make it very clear that if you are somebody that, doesn't feel like you're really in some kind of learning dynamic with your twin at this current time, or if you don't consider yourself a twin flame, this could very well be a friend, family member, or just your current partner, okay? So fated partnership, what's it about? And I did pre-pull a few of the cards, but not all of them. And I can just say, based on the pre-pulls, I definitely think that one of these is absolutely, like, obviously a twin flame dynamic, where the other two are more, maybe twin flame, maybe something else, yeah? So obviously, there's no way any of you would ever decide if your twin flame is your twin flame from some collective reader on YouTube, me or anybody, right? I hope that you know that. Like, don't ever make that decision that you're in a twin flame relationship based on a collective read. Anyway, before I get started, big shout out to my Patreons. Thank you so much for your support. It always means a lot to me. I know some of you have been going with me for so long, and there's really such a small amount of you that it really makes me feel that much closer to those of you that have been on my team for that long. Thank you for your patience as I've sorted through coming into union. And as you can see, I am back in full effect, even better and stronger, I think. So thank you so much. And if you want to join my Patreon for $1 a month, not only are you donating to me as a form of gratitude for the free content I give you here on YouTube, but you also will receive a monthly timeline overview of the twin flame journey for those that aren't in union. And speaking of which, I am getting ready to record that. Today is, what day is it? I'm going to get it out to you by the 24th, I believe, the 21st. You know, I'm gonna record it soon. I sat down and wrote the dates out for when I released the last month's one, and it's coming up soon, as well as that new moon in Scorpio is coming up on the 28th. Anyway, if you want to just donate to me, you don't want to be a part of the Patreon thing, but you feel like giving me something in terms of gratitude, I have a donation link in the description box below. And, you know, just thank you so much to those of you that have donated to me, that, you know, do support me. As you know, I'm just, doing my thing. It's not like I'm swimming in a sea of money here, but I am doing what I love, and that is so much more important to me. And I did just recently launch a live 30-minute reading for half the price of my 1-hour reading. I've never had that available in the 4 years of offering readings via YouTube anyway. And so now this is a new thing for those of you that have always wanted to do like a live Skype, but haven't wanted to put down that money for the 1-hour session. I'm now offering a 30-minute session, and my website link is also in the description box below. So like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, share it with friends that you think would appreciate it, help support my channel. If you can't do it with money, just do it with a little bit of love, and if you can do it with both, even better. So before we get started, I want you to just take a moment and, before I get started, if you're like, oh gosh, I'm kind of hanging out with 2 or 3 people that this could be about, that have like a karmic lesson for me, and you don't have to know who you're asking about right now, okay? For some of you, it might be super clear, you know exactly who it's going to be about, but that is not important. What you want to ask yourself is why fate brought you two together. So you can just say, angels of truth, love, and light, why did fate bring me with this person? And you'll know once the reading starts to unfold who it is, okay? So that obviously applies to those of you that are torn between 2 different people that this could be about. And then obviously if you are super certain that it's going to be about whomever, try to make that window open that it might be about someone else. Because in terms of reincarnation, this could be your mother, your father, your sister, your cousin, whatever. We always have different things to learn from different people. And what I've been really, kind of picking apart in terms of preparing for the educational video on karma and reincarnation is these constants, right? Where I've been really looking at the overview of my family dynamic, and there's a general big lesson for me around money and materialism. And, I feel like that's the case for a lot of people in the spiritual community, where we just want to like swear it all off, but that's super not realistic, especially if you live in California. But, just kind of looking at this overall bigger lesson that we're learning from everybody, and there's a deeper history with those lessons, but we also have smaller lessons that we learn with people too. Anyway, I'm excited to do this spread for you. Go ahead and take a moment, set that intention, close your eyes, have that moment of silence to yourself, deep breaths, and pick either group 1, group 2, or group 3. So group 1 is on my right, your left. Group 2 or group 3. If you want another moment to pause, go ahead and pause quite literally before I move on. Hi group 1, I'm so excited to start this reading for you. I definitely felt like there was an overall theme that was kind of being said in almost every group, but like I've said before in previous pick a cards, because it's a collective reading, there's usually like a collective energy and a collective like lesson that's being shared. And it's just different parts of that lesson, right? Like maybe you're in the initial stages of that lesson and you're probably going to repeat it again, or you might be in a completion phase of learning this lesson that's like been going on for a while. So I asked, why fate brought you 2 together? And I have card 7, the Chariot, and Kadia, the mother of believers. I'm not 100% certain if I'm saying that right, but I did the best I can. So I love this. This is all about the willpower and determination and focus. It's about faith and self-confidence. I mean, this is very much like conviction, right? And drive. And then Khadijah came out with this. She's an Islamic, what would you say? She's an Islamic goddess of divine feminine power, where she balances both wealth and spirituality. She is, I guess, very well worshipped in Islam, and is believed to be a very strong woman that shows that you can be both, right? That you can be incredibly spiritually conscious and also financially abundant, and have like a very strong structure in your material life. So I love this. I feel like all three of the groups had a certain element around balance. I mean, obviously that's what we're all trying to do all the time, right? But so the reason why you two are together is to learn how to overcome the issues you have around wealth and abundance, and to realize that it's not selfish, to realize that there is a certain power in money in terms of being able to accomplish all of the things that you want to accomplish in this life. And so Spirit just wants me to mention that this could be a partner that you maybe are seeing, like somebody that you're in a relationship with that has, either some serious money issues where they're poor all the time, or they're the flip of that, where they're showing up as a chariot for you and you're the opposite, right? So it's like, I feel like the two of you are either both in the same space, financially speaking and spiritually speaking. You both are in that same space of imbalance, or one of you is, and that would be more of a twin flame dynamic, I feel, where one of you is incredibly rich and successful, but not super spiritual. And then the divine feminine aspect would most likely be super struggling with money, but very spiritual. So in terms of a twin flame dynamic, it would definitely show up like that. However, if it's not a twin flame dynamic, it's most likely that the both of you are in a similar situation and you're trying to teach each other together. And so then I asked, like, what are you two supposed to accomplish together? And I got card 29, I am kind, which is an 11. That's a pretty strong twin flame number. And I am kind is about the power of language. In alchemy, they call it the secret fire. And it's about this concept of how our spoken word ignites a fire for human kindness, compassion, and it also is something that is projected via our thoughts. So, I mean, this is so much about like learning that wealth and abundance can come in balance, right? Not only through our actions. And I feel like this is definitely part of the evolution of the human species, where not only do our thoughts and our words have more power than the literal, or have as much, I should say, power as the action, right? But I feel like we're also becoming more conscious of that. So not only is our thoughts more easily manifested, as well as feelings, right? So it's like people are more sensitive to the shit you're not even saying, right? It's like, wait a minute, I was just thinking that, and I was really trying my hard not to think it, but I was thinking it, and it's like we're still feeling that karmic reciprocation of putting negativity out emotionally, or mentally, right? So, all the energy is amplified basically. But so the two of you are learning together how to be more kind and how to be in integrity with your thoughts, your words, and your actions, and kind of reaping the benefits of that. So again, I really do feel like this group, it could be either a twin flame journey experience, or it could be something else. And the something else I feel is definitely more friendship or family related, but there's definitely the opportunity for this to be a something else lesson. And, in terms of the spiritual community, like I already briefly mentioned, I feel that the spiritual community as a whole, and this is coming from somebody that teaches yoga at donation studios and, and in donation parks and stuff, I feel as a whole, people that are on a spiritual track are learning that to want money and to have money is not a bad thing. And it doesn't make you less spiritual, right? So I just feel like this is a wound that all of us are trying to heal, is that, there's always balance. And obviously we don't want to go so far into the space that we're greedy, but we do want to also welcome some wealth in. So what will hinder your purpose? For this, I am using the Mary L. Tarot, and this was of course divinely guided that I used this deck. And I was like, oh, this deck is so dense though. Like one card has a lot to it. So I may, pick up the reference book, or I may not need to. We'll see. But what will hinder this lesson for the two of you, Spirit? For group one, what will hinder this lesson? We have the Four of Swords, which is definitely like a mental energy, and I get like this sense of like toxicity, like toxic thoughts. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Okay, I'm just gonna peek in the book because it's so well written that I feel like it would be a shame not to. But I obviously will be doing most of it channeled. So the Four of Swords. Thoughts take root, words have wings, sex, impregnation, consummation of a union, plant a seed, growth in solitude, safe retreat, body of knowledge collides with physical preparation and need. Yeah, it's so much about like careless thoughts, careless words. And it definitely like goes right back to what we were saying here in terms of like the I am kind and being in balance with power and spirituality and having conviction. And I definitely, there's a self-worth theme going on through here, and this is also something that I have also been noticing coming up energetically for many people, was we're being called to kind of step into more of a space of this conviction, of this power, of assertiveness, and it's very much like a masculine trait, and really rinsing or releasing any negativity around somebody that is confident in what we have, like in terms of our own attachments to being triggered by a word. I mean, literally a word like earn, there's triggers attached to things, and that's our stuff. And so no shame in being triggered, but do acknowledge that the person that's saying it may not have that same relationship with a word. And so when you're offended by something, to recognize that's yours, and you have an opportunity to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be the kind of person that gets charged when somebody says one word. That's my thing. So I want to release that, right? And so definitely like there's, there's always a trigger around people that come off as being very confident. And there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And, I feel like a lot of people shy away from being this person on the chariot, from being this person that's saying their mind, because they're worried that people are going to think they're arrogant, right? And there's so many like polarities that have been coming up from this karma clearing that we're passing through. And so here, we're looking again at like what will hinder your purpose, and what will be hindered is not being accountable for your thoughts, words, and actions. And I'm like, how did I get to what I was just talking about? Because, we have our own charges with words. And so it's super important for you to take a look at those triggers when they come up for you, and to either be like, you know what, that actually was designed to hurt my feelings, or, that actually is my own shit and I have an opportunity to heal this, So I'm really taking a look at the power of word and thought, of course. I mean, I feel like thought is like the next frontier. Like to be in integrity with our thoughts is like next level stuff. So what will help your purpose? And Spirit guided me to use the Fairy Tarot, which this one's by Doreen Virtue and Rodley Valentine. And I forgot, I used to use this deck quite a bit on my channel. And I, been recently kind of coming back to it. And it is such a fun and direct tarot deck. I love it. Ooh. Angels of Truth, Love, and Light. What will help on their divine purpose here for finding balance, for moving more into abundance? Oh my goodness, jumping out, shooting out. Prince of Winter. Intellectual, determined, focused, impulsive. Seek out an intellectual solution to your problem. The need to act quickly and decisively. Sudden or unexpected changes. Ooh, you know what I got from Spirit while I was reading that is that I'm being guided to take these down. I know that I can fit them all, but I want you to focus on these two. I got that there's going to be some sudden and abrupt change that is going to force you to move into this space of accountability, more about your words. I feel like Spirit wants to be explicit with the power of word here. And they're also mentioning to me, to be very cautious of being like overly confident that you're so enlightened or you're so conscious that you don't use words that trigger people. Because I can tell you as a YouTuber that I go out of my way most of the time to be very careful about what I say, because I know that if I slip for 1 second, somebody will let me know. And it's like, obviously, in terms of like what's going on in the world right now, everybody's at a heightened level of sensitivity. And if you watch any like live comedian shows on Netflix or something, like every comic is joking about how sensitive everybody is in the States anyway right now. But so Spirit's just saying, like, recognize the power of your word. That's the first thing. And I do feel like there's going to be some sort of immediate karmic experience based on the power of word. I do feel like it's suggesting that this is going to be with the fated partner that we're asking about, that the two of you are going to have some sort of combustive discussion around something that was taken the wrong way, but that there is this amazing opportunity to learn that lesson. And so Spirit just wants me to mention that many times with just a karmic person that's here to teach us a lesson, right? Maybe they're only here for a brief moment in our life, or maybe it's a repeated cycle, right? We get to end that karmic cycle by finding the completion point. So, I mean, I did this pick a card with the intention of mentioning karma because this is all about karma. But in terms of completing a karmic cycle, completing a karmic lesson, there needs to be a sense of completion. And that typically when a repeating lesson is responding in a different way. So Spirit's saying, not only where there'll be some initiation based on a miscommunication or a misunderstanding about a word, but you're also going to echo that same lesson by how you respond verbally with the words that come out of your mouth. Yeah. So there's definitely Spirit just wants me to go over and over again, the power of word, the power of thought, and being really conscious of how you use your words. And they're talking also about like inflection and connotation and you know, it's like a subtle difference between something being a question or a statement, right? If I was like, is that true? So anyway, just subtleties, subtle differentiations in the power of the word. So then I asked for some angel guidance for you. And, or I am asking, I didn't pre-pull this. And we're using the Crystal Oracle for this. So I asked the Crystal Devas for some final advice on how to help this journey with this particular partner or karmic person. What advice do you have to give? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Moonstone, one of my favorites. Cycles. I love Moonstone. So before I get the guidebook out, I just want to like mention obviously this clear concept of cycles, which is what I was just referring to in terms of these valuable lessons. And you know, obviously these topics get so complex because I'm doing a collective reading, and I do get guidance for different experiences. Like I said, this could be a twin flame experience, or this could be something with your parents, family, it could be, soulmate, or just somebody that you're seeing casually. It could be a friend. I mean, there's so many different ways that this karmic journey, this karmic partner, you could be learning this lesson with, okay? And so this idea that the spiritual guides are referring to cycles makes me want to talk about this idea that this lesson around money and spirituality is something you're learning with multiple people. And so I do feel that not only am I feeling confused about how to direct this in terms of because a lot of the times when I do these collective readings, I still get a very strong linear line for one particular situation. This one's so all over the place, and I feel like it is because this is a lesson you're learning on a micro and a macro cycle. This is something that you've been learning a bunch in this lifetime with just short-term friendships, longer-term relationships, and then of course past life stuff. I even am getting a hit that you could have been a very, very, very wealthy and abundant person in a previous life and possibly took advantage of it and was out of balance with your spirituality. But I do feel like this is coming through to remind you that this is a pattern and that you are getting a very rare opportunity to help end this repetitive cycle by, and they're telling me that it's many, many layers, but by healing the layer that you are being confronted with most with this person. So again, this person might be in the same position as you, and Spirit's saying if this is a friend that is you two have been relating on being poor together, it might be time for you to spend less time with that friend because you're only embedding the poverty concept deeper. I feel like if it is that situation that it's something that is discussed all the time where the two of you just kind of bond and connect on how hard and difficult life is. And so that's what's coming through for that right now. And then obviously if it's the other scenario that I discussed where this karmic person is most likely it's a twin flame or soulmate experience where somebody is incredibly wealthy and you're not, or maybe it's the flip. I mean, that is not something that I was really getting, but I'll put that out there just in case. But if you're super wealthy and then you're in love with or involved with somebody that's not, just kind of looking at what comes up for you in that dynamic. And Spirit's saying, even imagining like a situation where you were best friends with or sexually intimate with somebody that has a lot of money, what does that look like, and what does it bring up for you in your mind in terms of how it would make you feel? Yeah, that's a very interesting like visual story to take for yourself. But yeah, let me go ahead and get the book out for the Moonstone and see what the guidebook would like to say to you for its final guidance message here. Moonstone holds within it the essence of the divine feminine and assists in the deep connection to the moon and the blessings she bestows. The powerful Moonstone medicine also holds within it the magic and essence of honoring the cycles of life in all of its aspects. When you allow the natural cycles of ebb and flow to enter your life, you will feel a much deeper sense of freedom and inner peace. So very much about like connecting to your inner feminine, which is, what Khadijah really is. All of these cards are from the Divine Feminine Oracle, so they're all going to be speaking about divine feminine energy. But I love that she's representing feminine energy, like an awakened divine feminine that's also incredibly tapped into the law of abundance, and wealth. So creating new beginnings, new directions, and creativity. That theme has come through for every single group. So we are in a very powerful place of transition and new beginnings, and then new projects, new creations. So the key to surrender to each specific cycle and energy and allow the process to guide you as you learn and grow. Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like every group is going to have this kind of lesson of like, this is what you need to really like resolve, to the best of your ability, at whatever layer this is, right? And so just again mentioning like this might be there's no way this is the first time you're learning this lesson. That's just not even a thing. Like if you're mature enough to be clicking and watching this video, you've already kind of confronted this before. But if whether this is your 5th time or your 100th time, like always, try to approach it with this idea of like, this is my final time. Because, I feel like the next layer of learning that lesson would be slightly more evolved and different for each of you. And again, this is a collective read, so I'm trying to address all of you. I feel like some of you, this is like the 100th time and possibly the final time. You can never really say final, and then for some of you, maybe this is like the 5th time and you're really still discovering different like aspects of your relationship around money and abundance and wealth and spirituality. So many, many blessings to you, Group 1. I will talk to you next week. Mwah. Hey, what's up, Group 2? What brought you and your fated partner together? I think I said in the preface, and I'm just going to mention for you guys again, is that this could be twin flame, this could be a sex partner, this could be a best friend, this could be your mom, this could be your dad, this could be your uncle, I don't know, if this goes anything like it did for Group 1, I feel like I was trying to communicate to both of those, or 2 of those, 3 of those, I don't know. These collective reads for me as a psychic always are kind of challenging because I get different messages for different groups, and obviously it's so generalized, it's very difficult to get specific. Well, it does sometimes get very specific. So let's go ahead and get started here. Why did fate bring the 2 of you together? And you were the only group where 2 cards popped out twice. I don't think 2 cards popped out for group 1 or 2, and it happened twice for you guys. So pretty interesting. I figured that would be like, I would understand why that happened more as we did the reading. But we have 0, the Fool, 4 of Pentacles, and Lilith, the first woman. I am the voice of my body and soul. I choose the life that I desire to live. So in terms of why the 2 of you have been brought together, we have this concept of like new beginnings, the Fool, kind of a little bit of naivete, purity, nature, fresh starts. And then this 4 of Pentacles is all about like being greedy and being in like a financial space of abundance and wealth and being all alone, that you have all these material possessions but you're all alone. I thought that, you know, and group 1 had a big like money message too. I think group 3 did too. I just thought it was very interesting. Group 1 also had a big material, like financial message as well. And we all 3 of these groups were in a completion phase, right? So if you watched my full moon reading last week, you know that I was talking about this endings taking place, like from 6 months. Yeah. So it's like a karmic completion point. And then we have Lilith, which is this like icon of freedom and like refusing to be defined and refusing to be dominated. I thought this was really interesting because in terms of like why the 2 of you are brought together, it is to kind of, what is being suggested is that the both of you are being propelled to kind of let go of negative influences around money and around control. So you can kind of, you know, feel this out for yourself. Like I said, I know that a lot of my viewers are twin flames or consider themselves to be twin flames, but if you are somebody that isn't getting either 5D communication or 3D communication from your twin flame, Spirit is providing you another lesson from somebody else. And obviously, like, our family is going to be, for this kind of hit, I do feel like this is parental or somebody that you're related to, where where you've had like a front row seat perspective of this energy, the 4 of Pentacles, of seeing how money has instigated loneliness, has made people like fake friends. You've seen the power of it, how it can manipulate and control. I definitely got a hit on like past life stuff of being like suppressed by money, although it could be this life, you know, but definitely like feeling this energy of like control and releasing it, right? So I do feel that this could be, okay, this is so, like, for this group 1, it happened as well, where I'm just getting so many different messages for so many different scenarios. So complicated for me. So this could be that you're ending a sexual relationship with a soulmate or a karmic partner that was trying to control you with money, and also trying to, like, I'm getting like, to control how you show up in the world, like how you dress, how you talk, who you hang out with, where you go, what kind of car you drive, like all these like really superficial things I feel have been like you're freed from, okay? And so yeah, obviously in that scenario, the role of this karmic partner is to teach you to have a voice. So I just kind of feel like the person that I'm talking to right now has had enough, and they're walking away from this sense of feeling alone in abundance. So I do feel like it could be father-daughter type of thing, where or a karmic partner. I don't really know if this is coming through from the twin flame experience. However, it could be maybe your divine counterpart is incredibly wealthy, or maybe they're not. Maybe you come from wealth and they don't, and that's kind of been like a deal breaker, or you've thought like maybe my divine counterpart doesn't want to have anything to do with me because I have all this prestige and money. I definitely feel like this is different than group one's conversation about money, because I definitely feel like this group has a very direct connection with the negative aspects of wealth. So definitely feeling like this group is in a completion point, and they're stepping into a space of standing up for themselves and letting themselves be heard, and refusing to be controlled by money, in particular, very specifically about money and power. And so here we're seeing you, person I'm talking to, group two, standing up for yourself. So I feel like this is recently passed, but this is why you were fated with this person. And again, I do feel quite strongly that this is like a father-daughter role. However, it could be all the other scenarios that I've already discussed, or yours, right? Plug it in. If you picked this group, you picked it for a reading, or a reason, and a reading. So then I asked, what are you two supposed to accomplish together? And again, I got two cards. I got, I respect the property of others, which is a 4. I'm going to go ahead and pull these down. And I got, I do the best I can, card 22. So here we have like this metaphorical and literal translation of like respecting property and respecting what's not yours. And I feel like this is kind of talking more about what you as the viewer is teaching this karmic partner, like of respecting you and respecting your boundaries, and you also kind of realizing that by taking their generosity or by taking their gifts, that it has, created this unspoken obligation of friendship or loyalty, or, the unspoken price, in that. And then here I was going to pull the book out for this one. I do the best I can, because she, the author, was talking about so many different aspects around the 9 facets of the self, and the Merkaba and Heka. There was a lot going on here. So I do the best I can, speaking on how the soul has 9 different facets, which are the physical body, the name or identity, the personality, the double or animating spirit, the heart, the shadow, intelligence, form, and a combination of spirits that have previously incarnated. I mean, it's a lot. And then they talk about the Merkaba, which is like light, which rotates around itself, spirit and body contained in representing infinity, like it's endless. And then the Egyptian word for magic, which is heku, talking about medicine and magic and the power of so they say it's like 3 spirits that represent heku, and it's creativity, creative force, which is also known as Shakti, or the divine feminine, the vocalized power of word, which could also be considered Shiva or Om, and then the visualized influence of perception, Brahma, which should be like the combination of the two, right? So the power of word, the power of creativity, and the power of those two things together is very much a Trinity experience for me. But so as you are, or as you say, so you are. This is very much the two of you learning the value of word, verbal agreements. I'm hearing like verbal contracts. Unspoken contracts when accepting generosity and help, in breaking out of that cycle of feeling like you owe because you've accepted a gift, but you don't want to go without, so you continue this cycle. So I definitely feel like there's, a need for liberation. I am feeling like still true to, you stepping forward and trying to take your power back and, allow yourself to be free of that cycle. But the Spirit's suggesting that this lesson may not be complete, and we will only time will tell. But, are you respecting that property, right? Are you respecting that, like, to continue to take this person's gifts is keeping you in a state of obligation? And no, you can't take their gifts and not be obligated, right? I feel like it's been done in so many movies even. I can't think of one right now, but I know the movies exist. Oh wait, what's the one with Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson? Some of you might be too young to even know that. And they, like, there's money exchange so he can sleep with his wife. Anyway, money is powerful. It's not necessarily evil, but it can be used for that. So then we asked, what will hinder your purpose? And I didn't pull the cards for these, so we're looking at the Mary L. Tarot. And like I said with group 1, this deck I was really hesitant to use because it is so rich in terms of each card having a lot to be said. But let's see what comes through for you. What will hinder the purpose the two of you have together? What will hinder the purpose? Ace of Discs. Ooh, these cards are so sexual. So we have kind of like a hermaphrodite here with a goat or cow head and angel wings. And a labyrinth. And then it's the Ace of Discs, which is the Ace of Pentacles. So we are seeing like the initiation of a relationship to money and power. What I'm hearing from Spirit is like, because this is in place for the question, what will hinder your purpose? Being afraid to start new with your relationship with money, being afraid to be the fool and have that new beginning. So that is what will hinder your purpose together, is fear of new beginnings, fear of fresh starts, and yeah, quite frankly, fear of poverty, fear of not having that help. What happens if you need to go to the hospital? What happens if your car suddenly breaks down? Get a credit card. Do whatever you can. There is always a way. I can tell you, as somebody that has refused to take on the assistance of my grandparents who had a lot of money, there's always a way. And yeah, maybe it creates debt, but oh well, like can you put a price on freedom? Can you put a price on being Lilith? No. There's no price tag on that. It's priceless. Okay, so what will hinder you is being afraid of having to learn some new things, of possibly having to experience what it's like to not have money to get something done that you want to get done. And Spirit's just saying, be afraid of compromise here. Be afraid of compromising yourself, compromising your beliefs. And remember, I respect the property of others. Remember this balancing energy right here. Remember to balance yourself and balance your relationship around money. So what will help your purpose together? And we are going to the Fairy Oracle. What will help the purpose the two of these people have together in group 2, Spirit? What will help? What will help them? 8 of Spring. Spring, stress that comes from having many things happening at once. Successful multitasking, sudden events or changes. How crazy. I feel like group 1 also had like this sudden change. I really feel like this new moon that's coming up is very positive, this new moon in Scorpio, and it is bringing about sudden change. And so I think that Spirit is really trying to kind of put the pressure on and really stress the importance of resolving this karmic lesson right now so that you can move more confidently, more powerfully, more accelerated in a positive direction in terms of your soul journey. So what's going to help you right now is multitasking successfully and sudden changes. So, again, a fated change is coming. I do feel like you're going to have some sort of epiphany, some moment of clarity where you are just completely aware of what this dynamic is between you and this karmic partner. Again, I do feel quite strongly that this group, it is not a twin flame dynamic. I feel like it's more parental, but I do also feel that there's a smaller percentage of you where that's not the case. It could possibly be twin flame, or just like somebody that you're intimate with, or a friend that helps you out. There's definitely, like a codependent thing that takes place with a wealthy friend, and whether you're the wealthy person or they're the wealthy person, there's a very strange dynamic in that friendship, and this sense of obligation, right? This card here, the I respect the property of others, is the one that is speaking about what you two are accomplishing together, and it is about recognizing those unspoken, like, emotional trades or loyalty that's bought and traded with money or power, right? So even if it's not that they're giving you material things, maybe they're helping you in some sort of elite arena. Maybe it's career-wise. Maybe you're making friends with them because they know people in the industry that you're trying to break into. But there's definitely like a power play taking place, okay? So in terms of what's going to help you, there is a sudden change in the wind. And I just got the 28th, which I think, that is the new moon in Scorpio, the 28th. So the 28th is going to be a big change. And they're also saying too that you're going to be part of like clearing this karmic lesson and completing it is to recognize the positive qualities of this dynamic that you've had with this person. And the biggest one I'm getting is the multitasking, and seeing how this person is in the space of success that they're in by their ability to multitask. So I feel like Spirit's just saying, even if that's not the lesson that you're learning, but to recognize the positive and the negative aspects of this karmic experience, this fated partnership, and what value it has in your life. That is one way that we clear karma. Yeah. So that is what will help, right? I'm so confused. I think I did this on the last one. Okay. That's because I keep pulling the cards down, and then you got 2 cards for lots of things. So that was 1, 2, this is 3, this is 4. Yeah, so 5. What advice from Spirit to help on this journey with this person? What Crystal Deva would like to speak to group 2 to give them further advice and guidance on what will help them on this journey? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, angels. Thank you, Crystal Devas. What advice would you like to give? 2 cards. I mean, I told you guys, you got 2 everything. So we have Ruby, Shine, and Stibnite, Conflict. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that this karmic relationship, this fated relationship that we're talking about for group 2, is one that is incredibly powerful and also has like a strong theme of toxicity and repetition. I think that that's another reason why I don't feel like this is very twin flame, because there is a very potent toxicity to this dynamic that is something that we do with karmic people, where it's a fated experience, and it may be sexual. I feel like I had this experience not necessarily around money, but around the more general idea of toxicity with both my ex-boyfriend, who was my karmic partner that brought me to meet, like, he didn't literally hand me to my twin flame, but what was going on with my karmic is what energetically propelled me into my meeting my twin the first time back in, I don't know, 2010. Anyway, I also experienced it with one of my best friends, formerly known as my best friend. Then we met when we were 6 years old, and then I had to end our relationship, our friendship, about 8 years ago. Anyway, so this is the energy I'm getting. This is somebody that there's been a lot of conflict with, somebody that you have a strong history with, and Spirit just wants me to mention that it's also most likely past life stuff, and that's why I do feel like it could be a parent as well. And then this idea that you need to be the ruby and shine. So I feel that this person, in terms of if you're trying to figure out who it is, that when you're around them, you definitely feel like you're holding yourself back, that you can't be totally true to who you are, that there's some sort of restraint or restriction on you, whether it's how you look, like what you wear, or just the words you choose to speak. I definitely feel like this person is unhealthy for you in many ways, but has also helped teach you some very valuable lessons, and that it is that there is a time coming. Again, I do feel like the new moon will make it very evident. There's going to be a situation that arises that will force you to make a decision. So Spirit's saying, tap into your true shine, recognize that this conflict doesn't have to be for a lifelong choice. You have an opportunity. Don't be afraid to be the fool and have that fresh start. And be bold and be that ruby, shine your light. Yeah. Thank you so much, Group 2. Sending you so much love and light. Mwah. Hey, Group 3, welcome to your pick a card reading for why you are fated with this current partner or person. I do feel like I just finished Group 2, obviously, and I feel like theirs was definitely not about a twin flame relationship. So, like I said in the beginning, I really felt like one of them was more specifically catered towards the twin flame dynamic, and this is the one. But I did get some hits for Group 1 as well. Group 2 definitely did not feel that way. But this is like, what karmic lesson are you learning with this fated partner, and why fate brought you two together? So for the first question, why fate brought you two together, we got card 13, which is the Death card, and Shekinah, the presence of the divine feminine. At the center of everything, there is light, and I am that light. I mean, this is divine feminine all day. This is about being the light. And then we have this idea of death and completion and new beginnings and transformation. Shekinah directly translates to settle, to inhabit, or to dwell. And she is the feminine aspect of God, which in Hinduism is Shakti. So we have this, like, she enables a direct communication from humanity to the divine. And so in terms of like why fate brought you two together, we are seeing this concept of a new cycle of divine feminine awakening, which is the twin flame journey, which is why I was like, this one is absolutely twin flame. There's no other way about it. However, I want to put it out there that it might possibly be a karmic partner or a karmic person that is aiding you in awakening to that divine feminine aspect in yourself, okay? So when I do these collective readings, it's always tough because I do get advice from spirit for many options, but I always just try to stick with the loudest one, but I also don't want people to feel left out if they're like, well, I don't really feel like I'm a twin flame, or I haven't met my twin flame. And if that's the case, if you haven't met them but you really do feel like you're one, that does not mean that you're not experiencing the journey, okay? Because if you are twin flame, it's something that's happening since birth, really. Okay. So the reason why fate brought you together is because we are seeing an ending of the divine masculine, the patriarchy, and we're moving into balance with the matriarchy, okay? And so the two of you have been brought together for both of you to discover more of your own divine feminine and to help heal and balance the planet in terms of masculine and feminine energy, okay? I mean, this is a very big concept. And this is why the two of you have been brought together, is we're completing, this is for the whole planet and beyond, right? We're completing the end of a cycle and we're helping to awaken this new cycle. So this is like big concepts that can translate into something a little bit smaller, but we asked, what are you two supposed to accomplish together? And we got, I am accepting, card 31. And I was like, whoa, because this is also about death and endings and bringing heaven to earth. This is about accepting the balance of life, of ebbing and flowing, of the dark and the light. I mean, this group, it could not like more loudly be about the twin flame journey and the balancing of duality and being accepting of both our dark and our light, which is part of the journey. Now, this is not to say that if you were group 1 or group 2 and just so happen to be watching this out of curiosity that you're not a twin flame, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that this is catered towards a group that needed to hear this message right now. And most likely it's because you're in a very powerful transition space on the journey, right? So then I asked, what will hinder your purpose together? What will stop or hold you back or slow you down? And I always have like issues with that concept because I do believe in fate and I do believe in destiny, but I also do believe in free will, and it's a very delicate balance. So when you say like, what will hinder your purpose? I mean, it's kind of like, isn't it supposed to hinder your purpose? But I do think that our free will comes in terms of our ability to be more self-aware and to learn the lesson more quickly so that we can move forward, yeah? So what will hinder group 3's purpose together, Spirit? The Magician, card 1. Interesting. So I have always experienced the Magician as a very positive card, of somebody that has gained a bunch of tools and making life better, of like working with themselves, working, you know, energetically, mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, this is somebody that is a master of all trades. And in terms of it hindering your purpose, I mean, the only thing I can come up with is somebody that is either using their power in a harmful way that is selfish, or somebody that isn't trying to use their power at all and is pretending like they don't have any gifts. I am going to grab the book on this to see what Mary L. has to say about the reverse of the Magician. And so she says, unable to hold a thought, an intent, a vision, a plan, unable to focus your will, not utilizing your gifts or working to develop your potential. Yeah. So that was one of the things I got, was like, you've got all these gifts, but you're choosing not to use them. You're pretending like they're not there. And I do love this idea of like, unable to hold a thought or an intent, a vision, a plan. So this to me is like what would hinder you on this purpose is, energetically imbalanced is what I'm getting, in terms of like, if you're unable to hold a thought or a vision, I feel like it's because you're not grounded. And this happens a lot with divine feminines in particular, is they get way too in the 5D and into their crown and third eye chakra. And so they're not like kind of like grounding themselves, literally like doing practices to ground yourself. Whenever my dogs bark, I get so freaking distracted. Like I have to wait 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then I'm like so frustrated, it's crazy. I'm like, where was I? Okay, so I was saying that this is more about needing to get literally grounded, like sage yourself. Do some earthing, do some yoga, do some physical movement, any kind of physical exercise, anything to like help you get in your body. You can also do this via food, like some earthing food, doing any kind of meditations with your root chakra. There's so many ways, but I do feel like that's one way of being hindered, is because when you're on that twin flame journey, especially when you're in that acceleration process, you can't help but be out in the clouds. And so what Spirit's basically saying is like, try to get a little bit more grounded. But then they're also talking about like letting that knowledge and wisdom you have kind of make you feel like you're more powerful than you actually are, and to, come back into a space of humility as well. Okay, so then what will help? And let me get these down. So this is what will hinder, and I feel like I should put it upside down, because obviously this is a very positive card, and it is suggesting, that you are in a place of power. But what will help, we're going to the Fairy Oracle. What will help their purpose together for group 3, Spirit? What will help their purpose? Thank you, thank you, thank you. What will help? 3 of Winter. Reach out to others for comfort and love. You will grow stronger from this situation. Sadness that will heal with time. Interesting. So I do feel like there is some separation taking place, and that it is to help encourage you to reach out to others for comfort and support, and that this separation is only temporary, but it is going to help make you stronger and help strengthen ultimately the relationship between you and your twin or your karmic. And that there is this like sadness that's coming, but that it will help you come more into union, and it does help give you depth and character. And so, I just feel like it's important to remind you, or for some of you that are new to my channel, you may not know, but my twin and I spent about 10 years in separation after we initially met and dated for a little over a year. And then in that 10-year period, we talked on the phone one time, and then we messaged each other maybe 4 or 5 times. And I'm not talking about consecutively. I'm talking about for a grand total within 10 years. We talked about 5 times. I went years without communication. And anyway, my point is that it's never the end, okay? And that there is always this bigger lesson taking place in terms of teaching and healing you and getting you more connected into a space of self-worth and love of self, and finding your Shekinah. So I really feel like Spirit just wants me to put across to you that there's no such thing as endings, and that this death, is really a rebirth and a transformation. So, again, I feel like by the 28th, which is the new moon in Scorpio, we are going to be seeing a big turning of the tides, and there's this is a completion point where we're really trying to kind of graduate to the next level, and take away the richness of these lessons that we've learned in the last 6 months, and learn that lesson and then move forward, right? So being in this space of acceptance. For the final guidance message, I'm pulling from the Crystal Devas, Angels of Truth, Love, and Light. What is the final guidance message you would like to give Group 3 today? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Angels. Final guidance message for them today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Clear quartz, purification. This definitely feels like you're in the midst of a purification of yourself, and that these endings that may feel very difficult, I feel like you also know that they're part of the process or part of the journey, and that that this magician that has been coming in reversed is going to get right side up, and that you're going to have this new level of balance and rebirth and transformation, and that you're going to be that much closer to being the divine feminine embodied in physical form here on this planet. That clear quartz, I mean, it's got to be, it was my first crystal. I feel like it's everybody's first crystal, but it's so potent and so powerful, and I do feel like you're in this purification space, and Spirit's just saying, if you are feeling any sadness or any sort of disconnect, to know that this too shall pass, that this is part of the journey, part of the evolution of self. And they just want to remind you to come back to remembering what you're grateful for, taking the lesson that's being served to you. And again, that lesson is so much about completions and endings, seeing the balance and ebb and flow of life, recognizing that death is part of the cycle. And they just want me to mention that for some people that's quite literal, that they've lost either a family or a loved one or a pet. And so my heart goes out to those of you that are currently dealing with a literal death of someone, or I don't want to call pets something, but of anyone that you cared about. And to have that sense of realizing that being freed from this karmic chain in this life is a reward of some sense to the soul that has passed, to the spirit that has passed, and that sometimes by us being in a space of longing or wanting, we hold that soul back from moving on, whether it's to reincarnate again, or to move forward into the next level or the next layer of existence, whatever that may be. I do feel like there's definitely like a cry for spending some time with yourself and nurturing and honoring your experiences, but also knowing that this is a sign that you're in a very, very, very big completion point for your own soul journey, and that you are graduating to that next level, of soul growth, whatever that is for you. But we always are doing this. Every single one of us, every single person I've read for is spiraling upward, and sometimes those lessons are more enormous than others. And for this group in particular, this is a bigger one. You definitely have earned it. And in terms of like the law of balance, right? Sometimes the darkness has to be that heavy for the light to be that light. If that makes sense, I hope it does. I'm sending you so much love and light in this powerful transitionary point, and I will talk to you guys next week. Mwah.